was a season in our life that I felt like I was doing everything right and the numbers still weren't adding up. On paper, it looked amazing. It looked like we could do it. But in real life, it wasn't working. We were still living paycheck to paycheck, and it wasn't because I was irresponsible with money or my husband was irresponsible with money. It was just the season of life that we were in was not sustainable, and the systems that we were using were not working. If you're in that place right now, this video is for you. Stick around. At the time, we were a one-income family, and I was homeschooling, doing all the mom things, and trying to keep life running. And from the outside, everything looked good. But behind the scenes, every month felt really tight and groceries felt stressful. I was feeling like when we went to the grocery store, I would either have to use the credit card so that we wouldn't overdraft at the end of the month, or I would have to put some things back or hope for the best. Unexpected expenses happen. Car repairs, medical bills, school supplies. If you're a homeschool mom, you know that when curriculum season comes up, you want to be able to have enough money to make sure that you are giving your child the best education that they deserve. And it just really felt heavy then. Not catastrophically heavy, it just felt heavy. Like I had no room to breathe. And all of these bills were coming at me from every angle. So I think that was the worst part, was that mental load of just all of the bills coming at me, feeling stressed, grocery stressed, making sure that our checking account was balanced all the time. I was constantly thinking about money. When I wasn't actively budgeting, I was thinking about money and ways to make extra money from home. I had done quite a few different ventures, and at one point almost got stuck with an MLM, and thankfully my husband can see when I'm going down a wrong path, and he will gently tell me that that probably is not the right decision. If you are having to put out money to buy supplies for a company and then resell them, you might just be the buyer. If you ever have laid in bed and felt guilty about buying the simple things that you've needed, or felt guilty for buying yourself something, you know exactly how I was feeling. For a long time, I thought that living paycheck to paycheck meant that we were doing something wrong. I was doing something wrong. I have always sort of been in charge of our bills and our finances. Hubby brings the money home, but I disperse everything. So I always felt like somehow I was doing something wrong. I wasn't budgeting right. I wasn't figuring out everything that was coming out of our account at the right time. How come I was overdrafting when we should have had enough? I thought that I was the one that needed to budget better, or we needed to budget better, plan harder, be more disciplined. And sure, we tried all that. We cut back, we tracked our expenses, we tried to be good with money, but no matter how responsible we were, it never felt like enough. That's when I realized that living paycheck to paycheck wasn't about spending too much. Sometimes it's the system that leaves us zero room for real life. The turning point for me wasn't a spreadsheet or a financial guru. It was actually the exhaustion of no breathing room. I was tired of feeling like one emergency expense or some out of the woods bill was gonna knock us off of our balance block that I was literally teetering on. I was tired of feeling like I had to be on point all the time just to keep us afloat. And I remember thinking, this can't be the way we were meant to live long term. That's when I stopped asking, how do I stretch this paycheck? And started asking, how do we start building breathing room into our life? That question changed everything. The first thing that we stopped doing was trying to fix everything at once. We stopped chasing extreme solutions, no dramatic overhauls, no panic decisions. I also stopped blaming myself. I think that was also a big turnaround for me, was that I stopped blaming myself. I stopped telling myself I kept telling myself I just wasn't organized enough. I wasn't disciplined enough. Because the truth is, you can be incredibly responsible with your money and still be stuck in a season that the system just doesn't work for you. It's not sustainable. It does not support your season of life at the moment. And for a lot of homeschooling moms and stay-at-home moms, this is exactly what is happening. We are in a season of life that is not sustainable for our family. One income nowadays is very, very hard to live on. And we don't want to give up our morals. We don't want to give up homeschooling our kids and giving them the best education for them and their learning style. And so people always are thinking they have to have one or the other. So what I started doing instead of reacting month to month, we started making decisions with sustainability in mind. We simplified and planned our weeks. We got honest about what actually mattered and what we were doing out of pressure or habit. One of those things for me is I love my morning coffee, and I used to go out and get coffee at Starbucks or Dutch Bros, and that was costing us. And so I got a cheap espresso machine that has saved me hundreds of dollars, and I figured out what I liked and what syrups I liked in my coffee, and now I have a plan and a simple system of making my coffee every morning, because that was one of the things that mattered to me. I needed that comfort of having my morning coffee every morning still, and it still be kind of fancy, if you say. And so that helped my brain shift also, that I can have things that matter to me, but have a plan and a system in place that isn't ruining our sustainability. And to be honest, I like my coffee a lot more. Like, mwah, chef's kiss. We stopped trying to keep up with invisible expectations and focused on creating stability in our home. None of it was flashy, none of it was over the top, but it worked. Like getting a cheap espresso machine off of Amazon with my syrups right there. That shows you that it wasn't fancy. It wasn't the $500 or $600 espresso machine. By all means, I think we paid maybe $50 for it, and I've used it over the last 2 or 3 years, and it's worked. It has kept me from going to the coffee shop in the morning, and it has created that sustainability for that part of my life. And more importantly, it felt lighter. I didn't feel guilt out of wanting a coffee in the morning or wanting to go to the coffee shop, because I felt okay with the coffee that I was making, and it still felt fancy to me. It still was good. It was still espresso, gave me that jolt that I needed, and I wasn't missing anything. I want to pause here because I know someone's watching this and listening to this thinking, that sounds great, but I don't even know where to start. If that's you, please hear this. Feeling stuck doesn't mean that you're behind. It usually means that you've just outgrown the system that you are currently in. There's nothing wrong with wanting more breathing room, more peace. You are not lazy. You're not failing. You are responding to a season that requires more, requires something different. Today, we are still not perfect, and there are still things that I could probably fine tune. We are not immune to life, but we are no longer living in that financial stress. There's finally room to breathe, room to adjust, and room for real life. And that breathing room didn't just change our finances, it actually changed our home entirely. If you're curious about what helped me make that shift, I'll link a few things in the description below. And if this season feels heavy right now, I hope this video reminds you that change doesn't always start with more effort. Sometimes it just starts with better structure. I'm really glad that you're here and you have gotten to the end of this video. YouTube has a few videos that they think that you might like after this one. Go ahead and check them out. Until next time, bye guys.